Hi, yes, I'm down here with our, Ford Shelby driver. We've got Gilbert Hakeem down here. We were just chatting a little bit earlier. You gave it everything yesterday. We're coming up, you're in the front of the pack, but you just talked a little bit about your tires. Tell me your plan.
Well, I think I might have given it a little too much yesterday because my tires are pretty much used up, but we'll do the best we can. I'm going to try to hang, I'm not going to go 100% until maybe about halfway through, and then we'll pick up the pace a little bit.
And who are you rooting for? Mustangs or Minis?
Oh, let me think. I think for this one right here.
This one right here, it is at the front. And of course, if we go down the way a little bit, there is my man. This is the guy I want to talk to as well. In the 177 Mini, he's revving up the engine, but I want to talk to Dennis here. Dennis, yesterday at the end of that race, it was practically a drag race. I was cheering for you all the way to the end. What happened?
Well, it's just the horsepower difference is just, you can't beat that, but we'll see what we can do today. We'll try to get ahead of them ahead of time and have a few more laps to do it, so.
I love it. And what parts of the track do you like? Where do you think that you perform the best in your Mini?
Oh, well, any of the corners in particular, for sure. I mean, the straightaways are our weakness, there's no doubt. These Mustangs are laying down rubber for 200 feet out of the corner. So hopefully we can get them with the tire degradation. So, but it should be fun. It's going to have a lot of fun.
And this is a family affair.
Yeah, this is my father driving now. And yeah, we've been doing this for eons, forever. So
I love it. That's what it's all about, celebrating motorsports, keeping it in the family, and keeping that legacy going.
Yep, for sure.
All right, well, I can't wait to see what you guys have for the Mustangs today. Best of luck out there.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep moving down the line. Driver number 86. Frank, I saw you out there too, giving it everything. Oh, where are we? Oh, Frank, come here. Well, both of you guys. So you're starting off on the race, and you're finishing the race.
Yep.
Do you like starting better? Do you think that gives you a better advantage?
What? I can't hear her.
Starting the race.
Oh yeah, my name is Sean DeLune. I'm starting the race.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. And taking it home, do you think it's a little bit more pressure at the end of the race, no matter where he is in the pack? You kind of got to pick it up and go for it, right?
Yeah, it gets tough because the hot tires are warm and it's just starting to slide around. So we'll catch them.
That's what I like to hear. So you've got a little bit more difficult job right there at the end.
Absolutely.
All right, well, it comes all down to talent, and we are Team Mustang.
Thank you.
Team Mustang. All right, let's keep it going. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Down the way, another Mustang. Oh, we've got a little bit of quiet air. How's it going today?
Fantastic.
Yes. You ready for the race today?
Ready as I'm going to get.
Ready as you're going to get. Laguna Seca, talk to me about the track.
Oh, it's my favorite track. Been coming here for 20 some odd years. It's just the best track in the States.
The best track in the States. That's what we like to hear. And what do you have for the Minis today? You ready?
Like I said, I'm as ready as I'm going to get.
Ready as you're going to get.
I'm going to give it a gallant effort.
All right, we'll have a great race out there.
Thank you very much.
Let's head on down some more. Another Mini. This is who I want to talk to. All right, you look prepared. You look ready. Are you starting the race today, and are you ready for Mustangs?
Always ready for the Mustangs. Yeah, totally. No, it's going to be a great race. It's really fun. The parity between the cars is awesome. It's just going to be a fun race.
And the sun is out. I know yesterday we had a little bit of that fog cover. It was a little bit dark. Today we've got a nice bright sunshine out there. Does that affect your tires or how you run on the track?
Not really. It's still cool, right? The track temperatures probably aren't more than 5 degrees higher is my guess. It's just a beautiful day, so I like cloud cover. The cooler the better. It just keeps us fatiguing or fatiguing less. Yep. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. The weather's perfect. Can't ask for better conditions.
I love it. Smiles, all smiles right here from Marcus. All right, let's move on down. We're still going. Oh, other side of the car. Here we go. Let's head over. Hey there, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Ready for the race today?
What's that?
Are you ready for the race?
Heck yeah, been waiting all day.
You guys finish out, and I know I've had friends of mine say this is the best race of the day. What makes it the best, do you think, for the fans to witness?
I mean, who doesn't love a Mini, right? And to see these cars against the big bore, the Mustangs, it's just a fun. You don't expect them to do as well as they do, but they're great little cars. They're terrific.
Exactly. And how long have you been driving this Mini?
About 5 years. Yeah. So.
Would you drive any?
Other cars too, but this one for 5. Yeah.
Would you trade it out or keep this one?
Oh no, I don't think I'll ever sell this. Yeah. Yeah. This is too fun.
Minis for life, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, have a great race out there. We're gonna keep moving on. I've got a window net. I don't know if I can chat with. Oh, he's gonna take it down for me. And look it, we kind of match with this blue, right?
That's right.
That's right, we do match.
Good, good.
Thank you. Well, you're starting the race, but if you could tell me a little bit about what you think it takes for your co-driver to kind of pick up after you left off, what does it take for him?
You know, it's a little difficult, but you know, my co-driver is fantastic. So he's a really experienced racer, and boy, it's amazing how quickly he gets right into it. So it really is helpful. So you have to have a really good co-driver. I think it's more difficult to be the co-driver.
Absolutely. And does the pressure on you even more? Because, I mean, you start it and he's got to kind of pick up where you are.
That's right. I've got to give him a good car and a good position.
Exactly. All right. Well, what do you have for us today? You ready?
You bet. You bet. Can't wait. Yep. Yeah,
Wonderful.
Ever since I saw the Italian job, I had to get a Mini.
Do you have gold in the back of this thing?
Yeah, well, shh. No, I can't tell you.
All right, well, looking out for you. I'm going to find those gold bars when you come back.
You bet. Thank you now. Take care.
Have a good race. I'm going to find that gold Italian job. That's one of my favorite movies. We've got a gold yellow car here, our Mini. How's it going? You got the sunglasses. You are ready to go. And it's sunny out today, a little bit different.
We may need them. We may need the sunglasses today.
We do. How was your race yesterday? Take me through it.
Well, we had a great start. Actually, passed 3 or 4 cars at the first couple of turns, and worked our way, held position, but luckily benefited from a full course yellow. It was pretty fortuitous, and that worked out great. So we ultimately ended up in 2nd place overall at the pit stop, and Bruce had a great second run, and we ended up finishing a couple spots, I believe, above where we started, and great day.
You're ready to put it a little bit higher on that pole today, right?
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. You know, anything top 10 would be fantastic.
Absolutely. We'll have a really good race out there.
Thank you.
All right, we're keeping going. We're moving down the line. We get to talk to everybody. I'm a lucky girl here on the grid today. Okay, yes. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you? What a beautiful day.
I'm doing great. I like the enthusiasm. A lot of smiles down here. Usually everybody's in race mode. How do you feel about, going out? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
Oh, well, both. But it's such a great field of minis, and then get to mix it up with the Mustangs. That's just super fun. So I think everybody along here is a little nervous, of course, as you always are, but mostly just looking forward to a lot of fun.
You're going for those Mustangs, right?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll have a wonderful race out there.
Thank you very much.
Of course. All right, let's see this car. Now this is something different. Check out this beauty. How are you doing today?
Good.
Tell me about this car.
This is a 1967 Mini Marcos. So same engine, same drivetrain as all the Minis out here, but fiberglass body.
And how do you enjoy driving it?
It's fun.
It's fun. Performs differently on the track, you think?
No, well, should be a little more aerodynamic than the others, but pretty much the same. Front-wheel drive, digs its way out of corners. It's lots of fun.
Lots of fun. All right, what do you got for us on track today? You going to pull out all the stops?
I'm going to just try to hang out there the whole time for the whole hour. So if we can make it to the end, that'll be the thing. So
you're doing the whole race, right? No co-driving.
I'll come and stop, but yeah, I couldn't convince anybody to co-drive with me.
Oh my God, endurance for the win, right?
It's lots of fun. So.
All right, we'll have a great race out there. Thanks for telling me about your car. We're still moving down the way. Come along with me. These are both. You're my driver and co-driver? Yeah. All right, here we go. How's it going?
Well, it's going well.
Going well?
Yeah, we got a good starting spot, and we're just going to try. I'm going to try and hold the station and let my junior partner here light it up.
Are you ready for the second half?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think we got a good shot at moving up the field. Everything looks like it should go okay.
Are you putting the pressure on him right now, saying you better have me up in those spots when I jump in, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to, mess with his head as much as I can.
It's the same team. You're supposed to be on the same team together. What's going?
He just forgets who's writing the checks.
That's right. This is all in fun, right? We're just here to have fun.
We're just having fun.
We're just having fun. All right. Well, best of luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Moving on down. number 00 with the flames. I'm loving the flames. Are you my co-driver too?
She's lead driver.
Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. A female. Thank you. What is it like being a female in racing? And you know what? I already know the answer to this because I think we're better.
It's fun. I wish I had more females out here with me. Please come join me.
How do you recommend females get started in motorsport?
Just start showing up. Get interested in cars, learn how they work, how they operate, learn about them, and come to the races.
Do you have a favorite car besides this beautiful Mini you're in?
There's too many to choose from.
Absolutely. You enjoying the event so far?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, best of luck. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks. I've had such fun here on the pit talking to as many drivers as we could, but Kev has somebody that he wants to share, so let's pass it over to Kev.
Lovely, thanks Taylor. I'm at the bottom end of the grid here, catching up with a car that I was announcing yesterday. 111, Mike Bocciato. Mike, great to see you here once again, back of the grid. You were racing really well yesterday. You're very calm in the car at the moment. How are you feeling? You ready to go?
I'm feeling good, starting in the back, but it's a long race, and take my time and we'll weed them one by one.
Yeah, there was a good push in the latter half of that race, but you were in some open track. You were rolling on your own there, and as you say, it is a long race, and the Mini guys are switching out. They're swapping drivers, but you're running the whole 50 minutes?
Yesterday I came in early. I flat spotted a tire, so that's why I'm in the back. I didn't finish the whole race. So today I'm back, and it's a long race. Take my time, burn some fuel, and pass some cars.
Tell us what it's like racing against these Minis here at Laguna Seca. You guys have obviously got the out-and-out power. You've got the bigger block engines, but you're not so good around the corners.
Well, yeah, the horsepower does help on this track. Straightaway is long, and it helps a lot. They are fast, they are nimble, and they turn in quite well.
Have you been waiting for this race all day, or you've been driving another class earlier on?
Nope, all day. Anticipation right here.
This is it. Well, listen, Mike, best of luck. We'll slide off you and we'll take a little stroll. I wonder if we can just spin around and take a look at the number 37 car here. Mr. Phillips, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right, all right. Listen, we got, or are you Mr. Phillips or Mr. Waters?
No, I'm Phillips.
Yeah, I thought so. Mr. Waters is about going out. How is it, sir, sitting in the number 37 Mini here, racing alongside a big Mustang like that?
It's great. You know, it's a typical story of, David versus Goliath.
David versus Goliath for sure, but David back here, this one is sounding pretty hot. Right-hand drive this one as well behind us, the number 44 car. British car here. Who's in this one? Dave Hagan and Tyler Hagan.
Right, yeah. We actually were in the back because we had an oil issue. We were sixth yesterday. Okay. So that's why we're way back. So we're playing catch up today. I guarantee you we'll be up towards the front.
Well, we look forward to that. I think Taylor is up at the front as well. So let's go and see who she's got to talk to.
I'm going to throw this microphone in there. All right, I'm down here with our pole sitter, Martin. He's one that I did not get to yet. So, Martin, you're starting on the pole. You've got that red dot on your back. What is it going to take for you to stay out front?
A gift from God.
It is Sunday.
I'm going to do my best. I hope the Mustang is getting sleepy sitting here. So.
All right. Well, you sure have a lot for them, but it's all about the corners, right? All about that performance going through.
That's right. So I got to. Their tires will give up long before ours do. So I got to hang in there.
And you know what? I've heard some of them didn't change their tires, so you just might be in luck.
Good tires, good brakes, and a lot of luck. That's all I need.
All right, well, you are ready. You are on the pole, and we've got 2 minutes to go. My man Martin, ready for it. So, without further ado, let's go. Mini versus Mustang racing, Johnny.
I love it. Well done both Kev and obviously Taylor. Taylor, that was exhaustive. I don't know how you did it. I used to do the grid walks, and my gosh, did they keep them long enough? What a grid walk that was, but what an insight that was too. Because this is it, folks. Legend has it that the Ford versus Mini rivalry is said to have started back at the famous Monte Carlo Rally in 1964 as somebody's alarm goes off, where Ford features its V8-powered Falcon and BMC ran its greatly underpowered Mini Cooper. Now this rivalry continued for years as Mini got its success, Mustang got its success, and here we are again, David and Goliath. The race is on. It's the big bore bash, as one Mini described it. Sam Smith joins me. James Alder might come in as well. Who knows what might happen, but here we go. And in the words of the great Michael Caine, I told you just to blow the bloody doors off. And that's what they're about to do. So here we go, folks. And I'll tell you what, Sam, on a serious note, Kev's just joining us as well. On a serious note, this actually is a clever idea of Jeffrey O'Neill's because it is the epitome of what we've been watching all day. Because the physics of this, and I mean big bore versus small displacement, small European cars against the big American muscle cars, is almost the essence of the day.
It's so great, right? So, you know, you drive both of these cars massively differently. You put a Mini into a corner with a lift and a chuck and back on the throttle, and the car points and goes. You never come out of the throttle. Mustangs, on the other hand, you have to set the thing. You have to lean into it, brake it, trail it down. It doesn't like to be manhandled. These are cars that are work to drive. There's a lot of steering effort in them. Big, heavy gearboxes and a lot of torque and a lot of power that they can't always use. You know, it was great watching yesterday. We'd see the cars come off of turn 11, and they had closed up into a tight pack, but going down the front straight, some of the Minis would pop out and get a 3 to 4 mile an hour run on the Mustangs, which is a lot, and pop out to try and pass, and then the Mustangs would just get a run and just go, because they've got the motor, they've got top speed, but again, the Minis close it back up under braking, they close it up on entry. Everything that the Mustang does well, the Mini doesn't, but everything that the Mini does well, the Mustang doesn't, which means that the field is constantly changing. The battle yesterday evening, as the sun was setting, was those two cars at the front, one Mini and one Mustang, and they traded constantly, and they were never more than a car length apart. And if you waited, if you sneezed, the order changed. It was great.
Kev, you've had so much fun this weekend. By the way, I've got to say, I'm going to replay that Pathé ragtime races. That was brilliant.
I say, James Harrison the first, reporting from Western Australia.
Wind back, go back on Facebook or YouTube. Have a look at Kev Harris. It is absolute element.
I was trying to be a Pathé newsreel Englishman from back in the day, and I went a little bit Terry Thomas as well, a few points. So
it was perfect.
It was a mix-up. It was a mix-up, but it was really exciting. What was also really exciting, listening to you there, Sam, as well, what you talk about how to drive the Minis. Earlier on, I chatted to the drivers from Car 62, Martin Lauber and Andrew Waite, and Andrew in particular was exactly describing what you just said about how to turn in, let the chassis do the braking, and then just dab the brake a little bit, feather it, see how much you need to use it, and then lift, and then you go again. And that's exactly what he was saying. And those two guys, Car 62, they won the race yesterday, and they're running the same order today. Martin first in the first session, Andrew in the second session. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. But also 177, Don Racine and Dennis Racine. And one thing I learned, Johnny, and I don't know whether you know this as well, Sam, Don Racine is actually responsible for all of the Minis. Right. The cars themselves are not actually owned by all of the guys that you see here. Don actually owns most of them. The guys are running other classes during the weekend, but then they get on the phone to Don and say, Don, can we actually rent one of your Minis for the weekend so we can run the Mini versus Mustang race as well? In the case of Martin Lauber, I think he's in a Group 5 Porsche car, but he's doing this as a little bit of extra fun on the weekend, so it was great to learn that.
Oh, that's a good story, yeah, because I did not know that.
No.
That's something that I
had
no
idea.
I had no idea.
One of the other great things about Don is that, you know, in U.S. Mini circles, he's something of a celebrity.
He must be.
He helped start a company called Mini Mania that was essentially the largest parts supplier in the country, and he's been racing Minis for longer than I've been alive, and I'm not a young person, but he's really, really quick in the car. But you watch him, and it's great. So Jeff was kind enough to run a preview day for media last year at Thunder Hill that I got to visit, and he had a couple of cars out that were coming from last year's Velocity Invitational, and one of them was Don in that Mini, and I got a chance to drive it, and it was so well set up, but it was interesting because when you overwork the car, remember, these are front drive cars. A Mustang's a rear drive car.
Yeah.
And the thing about a front drive car, and the lighter and the simpler it is, the more critical it is. But in a front drive car, the front tires have to do everything. They turn, they stop, they accelerate. They can't do any of that all at once, which means the Mini, you know, just as a Mustang, when you put it into a corner and you give it the wrong thing, it will tell you you've done the wrong thing.
That's exactly it.
A Mini will tell you the same thing. The steering gets heavier, it slows down. If you oversteer it or overdrive it, it gets slower. It doesn't get violent, but it slaps you on the back and says, hey, pay more attention. But the best thing there is that, you know, these are, because the front tires are pulling the car through the corner, the rears are basically along for the ride, which means the moment you come out of the throttle, they go sideways, and the moment you get back into it, they drag themselves back in line. It's a hoot to watch, and they're so much fun to drive. I'm actually supposed to be in this race, but our car broke.
Ah, Sam.
And on that note, here we go.
Here we go.
Minis, Mustangs, magnificent men and women in their flying machines. Away they go into the round ready for the first time, and it is Mustang, no surprise, that picks up the lead ahead of three Minis, now 5 Minis, could be 6, and then finally the 86 Mustang has come to play as we dive into turn 3. Here we go, side by side. Watch that Mustang go. American muscle. Cheer him if you want. But watch that all-orange Mini under braking come back at you. So anything you can do, I can do better.
So look at that. The gap between the Mustang and the Mini opens up in the straight. The Mini got a great run. It closes again under braking. They put the cars into the corner. It goes in and out as the cars do what they do well. It's great to watch because it's constantly changing. There is nothing boring about this race. And any part of the grid you look at, there will be a battle.
Well, I can tell you a story. Gilbert Hakim, who's leading the race at the moment, came over to me earlier today, and he's in that 66 Ford Shelby leading the way, and he goes, don't forget to mention my Shelby. He goes, and how much fun are we having out there? He said, look at this.
Look at the inside.
Go, 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 go.
Oh. That's
wheel to wheel, around the outside, around the inside next, into Rainey. What an overtake. Fantastic stuff.
Well, that's my man Martin Lauber in the 62 car there, running with Andrew Waite, and he's been out already today in a vintage Porsche, so he knows this track and he knows top speed, and it shows. Look at the gap he's breaking on that Mini right now. Oh boy.
That's a fine piece of driving, right? Remember, we're talking about a 4-cylinder car and an 8-cylinder car. He's using every last bit of power that thing has.
I thought he just dropped it into neutral as he dropped off the corkscrew.
The other thing that he's doing as well is using every inch of the racetrack, and you'll know this, Sam, and they tell it to anyone who races karts as well, and again from my chat with Andrew, use all of the racetrack. Don't dump your speed by pulling it in too early.
Yep.
Wow, look at this. This is so good. They are having so much fun in these opening laps, and we're only, what, 2 minutes, 10 seconds into it. 50 minutes to go.
So,
Sam,
boy. How did you avoid this mayhem and manage to get the short straw and have to talk about it? Why aren't you out there?
Well, so Velocity, the people who run Velocity were kind enough to have me in and invite me to drive one of the Minis. They put me with a lovely gentleman named Andrew Fox. He's actually a Brit. He's, everybody calls him Foxy. But he bought the car earlier this year, had Don Racine actually build a motor for it, and tested it, and everything went fine. And he went on Friday and practice, and the practice is an hour long, and there's a driver change in the middle. So I got all kitted up. I got my helmet, I got my Hans device, I went and stood on the wall, saw Foxy go around once, twice, 3, 4 times, and then I didn't come back around. And he was sitting by the side of the track. They dragged him in on the hook, looked at it, had an electrical problem, dealt with it. And then yesterday, the exact same thing. He started again.
Oh! Uh-oh. 23
car. 23, that's the Austin Mini Cooper S67 of Mark Emmett. What's happened here?
This gives us a chance to look at how the cars are packaged, right? Yep. So the motor sits ahead of the front wheels. Everything's tight. One of the cool things about Minis is that the gearbox is actually in the sump. It's in the oil pan. They share oil, which means that when something goes wrong, the gearbox chews on engine parts, or the engine chews on gearbox parts. And that's what got us yesterday. It chucked a rod. The car chucked a rod through the side of the block, and then everything went sideways from there. So the guys were sitting there probably still trying to swap it. They were so close this afternoon. They had the motor in and out, and they just didn't finish it.
if you're quick enough and you unbolt it quick enough, you can lift it out yourself. You don't need any of these special gizmos to pick it up.
Don Racine told me yesterday, I looked at him and he was just kind of sitting there and, you know, with the face of a guy who's done this 1,000 times. And I said, Don, how long does it take you to get a motor in and out of one of these things? And he, with, you know, that typical like steely-eyed American thing, he looked at me and went 90 minutes. And I went, no, really. He goes, 90 minutes. And he just had this look on his face that said he would murder me if it was any different. It was fantastic because there's nothing to it.
Look at this gap he's building. This is awesome. Lauber and Waite. And Martin Lauber was in here earlier, and he was kind of gearing himself up for this, so I'm not actually surprised.
He was. You've had a chat with him as well this afternoon.
Yeah,
he came up onto the roof.
Yeah.
Ah, I see. And
he's been bigging this up and saying he's going for it, and he is.
He really is.
Now, the question is, well, I don't have any question because Waite was the man of the day yesterday. So Martin Lauber and Andrew Waite, the bet on you 62, folks.
And car 111 there is,
Well, that was that like a movie, wasn't it? That was like
what a camera shot! What a camera shot!
That's some special effects there. But in all seriousness, I do hope that car is okay because that was a big cloud of dust.
Well, car 111 there is the guy that I was just speaking to. That was Mike. He was lining up on the back of the grid, and he somehow put himself up to 8th place right now. I think somebody must have just dumped a wheel off the side of the track, picking up some California dust.
My pilot has told me it's all good.
Oh, good news, good news. Bring them home safe, boys. That's what we need. Have fun, but bring them home. No dents, please.
Well, this is a fun end to the weekend and an appropriate one as well. A little bit of fun as David takes on Goliath, as Mini takes on Mustang, as it always should be. And we don't take ourselves too seriously at the end of the day on what has been a fantastic weekend of racing. Out of turn 11 they come, and you reckon Mark Emmett's pulled the plug because he was in the pits a moment ago?
Yeah. What we also saw as well when Mark was with the, in the pit there with the lid up on the car is just how packed they are in under there. We're not talking about standard engines at all here, Sam. There's a whole lot more going on that they've squeezed into a very small place to make them the race machines they are.
Yeah, again, there's so little space up front that, again, the gearbox is in the oil pan. The drive shafts come out of the side of it. And, I had a chance to look at Foxy's car earlier with the motor out of it.
Oh, we got a yellow flag.
We got a yellow.
I had a chance to look at Foxy's car with the motor out of it, and you could not stick, when the motor's in, you cannot stick an arm in between the engine and any part of the engine bay.
Yeah.
And when it's out, you look at it, and it's hard to imagine that anything lives in there, much less an entire drivetrain. It's pretty cool stuff. It's a remarkable piece of packaging.
So the Lauber-Waite combination, now just to explain the rules, the reason you're seeing some cars, like Gilbert Hakim, with one driver, is that they won't change drivers. Matt Johnson the same. Whereas most of the minis kind of do swap over. And the way the 50-minute races run is that you have to take a pit stop in order to do that change. And you have to do it 15 minutes, within a gap 15 minutes before the end of the race. So the least you can do with the second driver is 15 minutes to make it, that you've actually used both drivers. So that's the rules, but you can choose when to take your pit stop, and this might be a time to do that.
Yeah, might well be. Might well be. We'll find out when that pit window opens and they can swap. As we see the number 62 car there, that's our man, Martin Lauber. I hadn't realised he'd been up here on commentary as well, sort of giving himself a bit of a boost, saying, "Watch out for us, boys, because we're coming." He was quietly confident down there, but incredibly friendly, as was everybody on that the whole weekend, to be fair. But the camaraderie on that strip of cars that Don Racine has kind of like built amongst the guys and girls that are putting them together and hanging out on that row, it was quite something. But yeah, they were quietly confident, were Martin and Andrew, when I chatted to them earlier. They didn't want to say too much, but great thing was as well, they had a lot of family and friends watching them and listening. They really enjoyed. Andrew said to me that he was loving our Michael Caine impressions, wasn't he?
Bloody Michael Caine impressions, right.
Right.
Where the bloody hell's the goal? I've just been told the pit lane is open.
Great news. Okay, so we can start. I mean, we're only 9 minutes into this.
Yeah.
One of the
we're under the pace car.
Yeah.
So everything slows down. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things to remember about the pit stops with this is that to equalize everything, these aren't rushed stops. The cars aren't getting fuel. They're not getting tires. They come in. There's a minimum 5-minute window between the end of the straight and the other end of the straight, the pit straight, where you come in, you have to spend 5 minutes in there before exit.
You do know why that is?
Oh, tell me.
Well, because when you've got your flask, it takes 3 minutes to boil the kettle, 2 minutes to brew the tea, and then you have to screw the top on the flask. That's 5 minutes.
Everything with the English comes down to tea, doesn't it? It's always tea.
Yes,
it's always tea.
It's always tea.
Always tea.
Why don't people understand this?
I have no clue, sir, because I haven't had a decent cup all weekend.
I know. No one's offering
Terrible.
me one.
Frightful.
Terrible.
Frightful, old man.
What's so difficult about it? It's just leaves in a cup. Why do you get picky about it? You pull some leaves in water. And
How about this? I mean, this is such a salubrious situation. How about we get Yorkshire Gold tea bags to sponsor a vendor here?
That would be...
Tea, afternoon tea at the Velocity. See how I did that?
At the Velocity.
I'm very impressed.
At the Velocity.
Oh, I'm all over that. I'm all over that. Tea and scones, afternoon tea.
Scones. We
Scones. Nice sandwiches, cut into
Marmite.
triangles.
I know my friend Roger
on a
would
tiered
like Marmite with his scones.
Well, that's a whole other thing. It should just be simply cream and jam.
Cream. Exactly.
What I love about the two of you is that it's so completely obvious you're from Kansas. You know, it just comes through in everything you say.
Exactly.
Yes, clearly. What part of Kansas are you from?
I have no clue.
So we have Lauber and Waite. We are under caution. The pit lane is open, but as you can see, the pace car is on track, which has slowed everything down. But we had a cracking start to this, and we're going to get a cracking restart, I hope. Now this is interesting. How is Lauber and Waite and Lauber and Locke?
In the 61. Well, interestingly, now there's a chap who I spoke to earlier. Forgive me, sir. I can picture you, but I can't remember your name. The 61, the 62.
Ed Lauber, that's why.
Ed Lauber, right. So I'm putting myself, I'm hanging myself with my own noose here, but there was a team that ran that was the 61 car, the 62 car, and the 63 car. They were all identical minis, and they ran in a team, and the 63 car has kind of gone missing in history somewhere. But the gentleman that's wearing all three cars on his T-shirt said that Don is going to get a car and rebuild the 63 car, put it in the livery, and then the team will be reunited. Maybe for next year, hopefully. And I apologize, sir. I can picture you, but I can't remember your name. But thank you for that little snippet that you gave me earlier.
That's what's interesting about minis in the United States, right? You know, they were ubiquitous in the rest of the world, but here they didn't quite reach the same level of popularity because it's a much bigger country. And eventually, you know, when you end up with a, you know, at most a 1275cc car crossing, say, the middle of Iowa, you know, there are certain elements of scale that don't fit.
It doesn't
work. But the people who ended up with them were so passionate about them, and they ended up, you know, especially in the Midwest and on the West Coast, they ended up racing them and developing small clubs. And, you know, the cars had great success in the SCCA for a long time, in part for the same reason they had success everywhere else, because they're so very good at what they do in that window, right?
Yeah, and you know, I was chatting to Don and the guys earlier on this afternoon. I was really interested to hear that a lot of these are barn finds. There's some of them here, there, and everywhere, dotted all over the US. So, you know, it was interesting to hear that, you know, if you look hard enough and you dig around in farmyards and in barns, you'll find some of these still waiting to be discovered.
It's still everywhere. It's such a big country, and there were just sheer numbers of cars that were raced here, especially in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, when sports car racing really was something, you know, people would come to Laguna Seca by the tens of thousands. Big crowds were drawn for it. And there are still race cars out there being found today. You know, it's remarkable that they're out there, but they are.
You know, it's an interesting time in this race because we're under safety. As you can see, the workers are out there retrieving and doing what they do. But if you've got your hot shoe out there right now, do you come in and put the other driver in that may not be as quick, or do you stay out and hope this caution won't last too long so you get more of the race with your faster guy? So I think there's a lot of juggling going on inside those tiny minis right now in terms of who comes in when.
Yeah, absolutely, and our winning car yesterday was that 62 car of Martin Lauber and Andrew, and I said to them, guys, what are you going to do today? Are you going to keep it the same, or are you going to mix it up, try something different? And they said, no, we think we're just going to, you know, keep it as is. We know what we're doing. We're going to switch it up, and we're going to keep it the same. We're not going to switch it up, rather. And that's what they're doing. Seems to be working for them.
Yeah,
so here we go. Look at this.
Mike Kimball's in, but Mike Kimball, as far as I can see, is on his own. I'll check.
Yeah, and being given some I don't know, some telemetry or data from an iPhone there. Someone's got some sort of app that's tracking
I
that
think
car.
they're just booking dinner, to be fair. Yeah, that's, Mike Kimball, Wendy Epstein is in the car right now. Mike Kimball will replace.
Gotcha. Now, listen, we're under this safety car, and it's not what we want to see because we want to see racing, but the good news for us is when they do restart it, as you said, Sam, they're all bunched up again. We're almost going to get a restart and a bit more excitement with them close together.
Yeah, the helicopter cam's great in particular just because it, I was watching earlier, and you could see the Mustangs leaving the corner, some of them just a little bit sideways, and the Minis were taking a tighter line, a longer apex. You really can't see how the cars are driven differently.
Yeah.
And it varies not just from car to car, but driver to driver in style.
Yeah. And we've got a good field of cars here this weekend. Chatting to Don earlier, he said he's got a good number of them here, and it's only going to build because I think this thing is going to grow. As the Velocity Invitational grows, this will grow, and more Minis here this year than we've had previously last year, and we'll probably see the same next year.
Yeah, it was nice, and it's cool too how prepared Don came. I had a chance to speak into his trailer earlier today, and there were just motors stacked up, just
really?
tied up against the wall. Yeah, he brought them because again, when you can change one in 90 minutes, you throw one in the car, and the guy knows what he's doing. He's so good at what he does.
He really does, and interesting as well. Coming back to that point that he owns most of these cars and effectively rents them out to the guys that are driving them. He's responsible. He's got a sort of production line of preparing them, so they all kind of turn up there or thereabouts. They're fairly well stocked, basically, and then they get given to the guys, and the guys obviously sort of look after them for the weekend, but it's a level playing field.
Yeah, and you haven't, I had a chance earlier to look under most of the cars in the lineup, because again, had a lot of spare time because our car was broken, and most of them are wearing, about 90% of them have the same suspension setup, they're wearing the same arms, same shocks, same everything all down the line, which means it really does come down to the driver.
Yeah.
I'll bore you with a stat. you were mentioning Andrew Fox. This car, this Austin Cooper that you were supposed to be in, right, competed in the Midwest in SCCA events in 1973, racing Nelson Ledger's Indianapolis Raceway and Grattan National.
Yes, I have actually been to Grattan. I've been to Nelson. These are grassroots tracks in the middle of the country. And one of the things Foxy told me about that car is that it actually started out life as a drag racing car.
No way.
Guy bought it, took it to drag strips, cleaned up, and that's where the nickname that's on the side of it is. In gold lettering, it's someone painted Wonderbox because nobody understood why it was winning, but it did.
That is awesome. Well, we're under safety. We've got 34 minutes to go, but it should be a half hour of hilarity.
It should be, and I'm just seeing the number 62 car go past our camera shot, and my senior moment, my brain has flashed into action. And the gentleman who I was mentioning, whose name I forgot, for the 61, 62, 63 car that used to run as a team, his name is on the side of that 62 car. So if we get a close enough shot, just above the number 62 is the name of the man that I spoke to earlier, because I do want to give him some court time. And if there's anybody else near the commentary booth who knows it straight away and say, Kev, come on, it's that guy. Come and tell me in case we don't see his name.
The 62 is driven by Andrew Waite at the moment, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, but the original owner who ran it in a team was 61, 62, and 63. His name is on the car above the number 62. He's not driving it here today. He's driving another one. Let me have a look at this list. Johnny, I'm going to glance at this list. I might remind myself.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring a driver in. Let's get a driver in. A real driver. And with a British flag, no less. Come on. Shannon's popping in. Hang on, where do I get one of these shirts, first and foremost, Shannon?
I got this on eBay.
That's awesome. That's a British flag with a Cooper S logo. Get down, get down
in the shape of the UK.
Of course. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Why on earth are you not out there?
A little bit of car, wasn't prepped enough and ran out of time. Parts held up in customs. Just my crew chief was working his butt off and did everything he could, but it just didn't happen.
Did you get out yesterday?
No, we didn't get the car here at all.
But you can enjoy it with us for a sec. We've just gone racing again. The Minis are performing, and performing well.
Yes, they are. That first lap was amazing.
It really was. Well, Hakim is chasing him down. Gilbert Hakim in the Ford Shelby GT 350 from 1966, and he's closing in on our leader, which was Martin Lauber. but now we're racing again. Just tell us what it's like to race these things.
Oh gosh, it is so much fun. Last year was my first time racing this track, and all I wanted to do was come to Laguna, race Laguna, and we came for the first Velocity and had so much fun, you know, and everybody makes you nervous about the corkscrew, and the first time I went down the corkscrew, I said, this is the funnest thing I've ever done.
Right.
I mean, it's like a little Disneyland ride or something, woo, you know, and I just had a blast. I don't think I stopped grinning the whole time I was on track.
It's so great the first time you come through it, because you go over the hill and you don't see anything, and the track just disappears.
That's what you're so nervous about, and then it's like, well, it's right there, and you know.
An old friend once described it to me as, well, you know, it's intimidating the first time you do it, but the thing you have to remember is that every single time you come through, it's going to be the same every lap, right?
Right.
Beautiful overtake by the 71 Austin Mini of Marcus Hayes in the 51, getting past that monster muscle car. Brilliantly done into turn 10, no fear, and he's in fact he's pulling away now. Or for how long though? Watch this. Here he comes, and back they go. It was described earlier to me as dancing with a whale if you're in a Mini against these big boards.
Oh, well, I've never danced with a whale, so...
Well, there's always time, Shannon.
There's always
the Monterey Bay awaits you.
True enough, I'm very close, right? You know, I've been driving my Mini only since 2019, and I'm still learning a lot, and I've learned so much, but it's just it's a blast every time I get in it.
How did you get into racing?
My husband has been interested in racing for as long as we've been together, and always talked about eventually he's going to get a car, yada yada. In 2015 or 2014, he finally got a car. We belong to a vintage race club called VARA, Vintage Auto Racing Association, and they have a University of VARA that they put on every January. And he said, well, I signed up for University of VARA, and I signed you up. And we rented you a race car. There's a man down there that has rental cars, you know, for their race prep cars. And I said, I'll come support you. You know, I don't need to race. It's fine. He's like, no, you'll still learn a lot. It's fine. You know, let's just do it. Okay. By the end of the weekend, I said, you made a really big mistake by insisting that I do this race school. And from that moment on, I had to race. So
you see, it's a double-edged sword. The man has his secret pleasure away from the wife, and he keeps her, you know, he indulges her in maybe her pursuits, but keeps his racing. But if he does the double dirty and brings her in, it's over.
It would have been a lot cheaper for him if he would have just canceled the car, let me go along for the support. But he's having a blast being my crew chief, and he would have been my co-driver today. So, you know, the Mini's not exactly his speed for his choice of car. He likes the formula cars and those types of cars and sports racers, and I love my Mini.
So who should we root for? Who do you know? Have you got any stories for us from any of the people out there that you've raced against?
I have raced against Steve Phillips, Mike Kimball. Well, technically, a lot of these guys last year, even though I don't know them, but Mike Levin, Bart Smith, Graham Reed. Who else is out there?
Well, you've got the list right here.
Let's see. Who else is, you know,
got the father and son team of the Racines.
The Racines I've only raced here, but I know, but Don's been to our club many times, just not while I've been in it. Yeah, a lot of these guys were here last year, but outside of Velocity, I've raced, you know, Steve Phillips, Bart Smith, Mike Kimball, Mike Levin.
Whoa, that was a little wide by the Mustang. Well, Shannon, I'm so sorry you weren't able to race, but I'm glad you could come and enjoy it with us for a few minutes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got to enjoy it. Absolutely. How was your weekend? What have you done?
We've just looked at everything. I've had some friends that came from Utah. I want to give a shout out to Jacob and Zachary. They made the trek from Utah to see me race, and they're still enjoying the weekend, but I'm so glad to see them. Glad they're here. And just, I mean, it's kind of been nice to be a little bit relaxed and not be on a time frame, schedule, and just enjoy everything going on and seeing all the cars and watching the Formula exhibition laps. And
what did you think?
Go ahead.
What did you think of the Mini as a car to learn to race in, right? They're so friendly, right?
I mean, I guess not having really any other race experience, I didn't have anything to compare it to, but I found it fun right from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the intimidation of getting up to speed on track and learning to drive around other racers and be forceful but be polite, and you know, all those things that you have to consider on track and get to know your car. It's been a very gradual process. I've made huge strides from where I was, you know, 3 years ago. But I am so not ready to give up this car. My husband keeps saying, when are you gonna graduate to a real race car? I said, I might never. I love my Mini. I still have a lot of room to grow in my Mini, and I just love it.
It's great to have you here, because this is what we wanted to hear. It's exactly why people do have this romance, if you will, with Mini. We've been having a lot of fun and joking around, but you know, this is a serious car to learn in. I mean, 10-inch wheels, it's not the intimidation factor that so many race cars would. And by the way, this is a mighty race car. It won the World Rally Championship in the hands of Paddy Hopkirk back in the day. So, you know, this is a serious car, and it really does give great feedback. It's also very forgiving if you're not a great driver. I know this. And that's, I think, when you're learning, that's so important, because you can easily get, it's like riding a horse. If you get suddenly thrown on a racehorse as your first horse, that's the last thing you want. Look at this. I forgot to say, I bet there's a lot of inter-Mini rivalry as well.
Oh yes, oh yes. And I think what's kind of fun about the Mini is it is good for a beginner driver, but you see what these advanced drivers do with this car. So it's not one easily outgrown. I think it's one you just learn what you can really do with it, and it fits like a glove, and you just get out there, and it's just so much fun. I mean, I can't say much more than it's so much fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry you couldn't get to race them, but we're having fun. Now we see some pit stops. Out and in comes the number 30. That is Scott Crawford. And therefore, who should be going in? That'll be Bruce Holden that will jump in. There you go, there's the inside. Not much to it, is there? By the way, hats off to our Tony Garcia. I'm expecting him one day just to get in one of these cars and ride along, because he gets so close. We will hire him out, but he's very expensive.
I love the scale of these cars, right? We had that shot inside the car in the pit lane, and you could see the hanging pedals that were almost horizontal. You could see the dash. You know, the wheel ends up in your chest. If I'm about 5'10", I'm roughly the right size, but some of the larger people get into them, taller people, and their knees are up in their ears.
But you say that. My brother-in-law is 6'2", and he sits
I bet he
quite comfortably in a Mini, and I don't understand the physics of that. Because you look at that car, you stand over it, and you think it's impossible. But I bet you we could get Shaq in one of these.
Well, that's the cool packaging thing, right? You know, so one of the geniuses of Alec Izagonis, the man who designed this car, was partly the drivetrain, but also partly the fact that you really can fit 4 adults into a Mini road car. And when you put, you know, they only really get cramped as race cars because there's a cage, there's a seat that doesn't move very much, there's the column, the wheel, everything is in a fixed position. Ooh, a little bit of brake lock up, going into 2.
Way, it seems normal. My mum, when I was a schoolboy of about 6, used to take me to school in her Triumph Spitfire, bright yellow, which didn't even have back seats, but we fit me, my sister in the passenger seat, and 2 Afghan hounds.
Those are big dogs. Are you serious?
Omar and Khyber. And I would arrive with my blazer on at school, covered in Afghan, but blown by our Spitfire. That's how, I mean, you ask how you got into racing. My mum taking me to school. I couldn't wait till 3:30 to get picked up again.
So you basically grew up in a Tintin cartoon, is what you're saying. That sounds amazing.
Basically,
That's amazing.
Here's another one for you, and I know Kev's got one like this. when we were at school, we would wait for the teacher that had a Mini or a Triumph. And what we would do is we'd wait till there was a break, and they would disappear to the master's office and go for their cup of tea. And we would all rush out, about 20 of us from the classroom, pick up the Mini, and take it to a place in the schoolyard that he couldn't drive out of. And we'd do this once a month. And he'd come back and we'd all sit there, nobody said a word. We got away with it for weeks, but that's what you can do with a Mini.
I think they were putting something in your tea.
Here we go then, 21 minutes remaining. Who's it going to be, Mustang or Mini? The Big Bore Bash, as one of the Minis called it. Love it.
It's interesting too. Look at the brake lights pop on in that Mustang. Mustangs have heat-limited brakes. They will go away if you use them too much. So a lot of those drivers end up having to brake earlier and lighter in order to keep them under the car for the rest of the race. Whereas the Minis, the brake lights, if they pop on at all, they'll pop on and then flash off, and the car's immediately into the corner. We can hear it here, sitting and listening to turn 2 and turn 3 behind us. The Minis are a breathe out of the throttle and then always on it, and the Mustangs are feathering it constantly. It's
I
great.
tell you one thing the Mustangs have learned from last year. They all showed up last year with no headlights, trying to save some, save some weight. Because what do you need headlights for? Well, the Minis all had their array of 4 headlights. That's Mini styly, but of course it went dark.
Yeah.
And we ran it in the dark. I think that was, what have we got here? 2 minutes to go left. Oh, this is them timing. I see. They're timing their 5-minute stop, as you quite rightly pointed out. Now, you should have boiled the tea by now. And off he'll go. But yeah, I mean, so basically the Mustangs have now brought back their full headlights, weight or no weight. They're going to make sure that if it does go dark or we go long, they're ready.
And that's what I love about Laguna Seca is that the weather is either like this or there is something happening with the
Thick
clouds.
smog,
yeah, and the clouds are half the time you come here there's a fog delay in the morning. But on Friday during practice with the Mustangs and Minis, the fog rolled in and it didn't get dark, but you couldn't see large parts of the track. It was really cool. The headlights were popping out of the haze. It was neat.
I seem to have forgotten about all these Ferraris parked up over here. This is far more interesting. Mustang versus Mini, David versus Goliath here at Laguna Seca 2022. They're going to repave Laguna fairly soon, so this will go down in history as one of the great races that finished off an era for Laguna Seca, no doubt. Gilbert Hakim back in the front in the Mustangs, keeping them honest and keeping them ahead for now. Out comes the Mini though, the all-blue Manchester City colours of the 424. And that's the Cooper S from 1966. Gary Dreen and Chris Copley. So it should be Chris driving the car right now. And in comes another, and out goes the all-orange Mini. I'm sure Garcia's going to get in the back of one of these if we're not careful. Sun going down here on the peninsula, but a beautiful day and a great way to finish the weekend. Guys, Shannon first, have you enjoyed your weekend?
We've had a great weekend.
Good.
We've had a great weekend. Despite not racing, we've had a great weekend.
Me too.
It's such a nice event. They really do a great job with the whole event. So we're really happy to be a part of it for 2 years now.
And Sam, I know you have. I've dragged you in here, but I think you were having a good time before that.
Oh, I mean, it's there are bad weekends at Laguna Seca, but there are no bad weekends at Laguna Seca. Every time I come here, I have a great time. The hills, the way the place looks, the way it feels in the morning. It's a magical, special little bowl on top of a mountain where nothing ever changes, and it's a snow globe of motorsport. It's fantastic.
I think that is actually, you just said it there. Whenever you arrive early in the morning at Laguna and it's cold and you're kind of like, I wish I hadn't stayed up as late as I did, and oh my word, we got a whole day ahead of us, and you see the fog and you think, oh, it's never going to rise. But then as you come into the circuit, you park up, you look down on the hill, you look across the peninsula, and you say, there's a whole day of racing to come, that fog's going to clear, and we're going to be at Laguna. It's a very special place.
Well, we're in the campground, and 8 o'clock, you hear the car starting. It's like, all right, time to get up, let's go.
Uh-oh. We are once again under caution. Clearly the Minis have radioed in and said we can't have that man leading as much as he is. So I wonder what we've got here, because we've definitely got Yeah, that could cost the 62 who's stuck in the pits at the moment, because obviously everything's slowed down now. So all the impetus you've got by being under green has now been lost, because obviously you're under yellow now. Now, the 15-minute window also will be coming up soon, which means you can't make any more pit stops after that moment. So again, things will change. But as you said earlier, Sam, you know, they're gonna, that last lap last night was fantastic. Swapping paint almost.
Look at them going up that long hill. You know, the Mustangs get such a drive going up that hill, and the Mini, turn 6 has this big dip in it, and if you lift, if you breathe out of it, the car, you know, you lose 3-4 miles an hour going up the hill. It makes a difference, and in a Mustang, you breathe out of it, you get it back the moment you get back on the throttle. There's so many moments where the cars, what they're good at, makes a difference in the lap, and you can see the guys and gals in the cars making a difference. Especially coming down into the corkscrew, right? You know, we won't see it on this yellow lap, but the cars that carry the speed down and carry the brake over the corner and down into the bottom, weighting the nose the right way, it's, you know, there's a visible difference in how fast they go. It's really cool.
Look at that beautiful 1960 Mini. British Racing green, British flag on the top. Done. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Bill Weiskopf racing that 1960 Mini. Hey, look out. Shannon's off. She's going to go and have a beer. Come on in.
Hey,
man,
Sam.
Hey, man, covered with a greasy oiled hand. What's going on?
Well,
welcome back, first of all.
Yeah, Andrew Fox here. Hey, Sam, I tried my best. We were wrenching all day from about 8 o'clock this morning. I wanted to jump in just to make a couple of shout-outs.
Yeah, please do.
So there's Jeff Sakulo, my pit man, and a massive shout-out to Andy Biddle, who actually got up at, I don't know, 5 a.m. this morning, drove back to San Jose to get parts, went to Fremont to get drive shafts.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, came back down here. On his way, his F-150 truck's transmission blew up. He had to borrow another truck.
Oh, no.
Got back here, and then we've been like wrenching for the last, I don't know, 8 hours.
I can see from your hands, yeah.
Not just your hands, but up your elbows and on the sides of your arms. You're covered in dirt.
We were in deep. The motor's in, so Don bought 10 motors down here with him. So
as you do.
As you do. So we managed to get one of those in.
Look, we've got astronauts taking part in this race. That's fantastic. Great to have NASA on board.
So how far did you get? Was the car's not, I mean, the motor was in. I was impressed last time I saw it.
Yeah, we changed the gear linkages done, different drive shafts are in. It's all back together. It's just fluids, basically fluids now, timing, final setup. But it's like, well,
so close.
It's so close. We're like, if we had another 45 minutes, I think we'd be there.
The engine that came out was so cute. There was this little hole in the side of the block, a little window with a tiny little rod end poking out of it. Little connecting rod from number 1 just coming out to say hi, and the rest of the motor was
It actually had a like, what I did well was I destroyed the block and the sump. So there's a hole in the sump in the front and a hole in the block at the back. So
Did it, drama. The leader's in the pits, guys. I'm going to have to stop you there. This is it. Pray silence, because this could be what? We're getting gesticulation. We're getting a little bit of tightening of the wheels. We're building the drama. Back to you, Andrew. Carry on.
Well, I was just, I guess, closing it out. I turned my Mini into a cross-flow air-cooled motor, I guess.
Nice,
I don't know.
Nice work.
The way you described it yesterday was pretty great. It was, well, the car was going fine, and then there was a pop, and then there was oil everywhere, and then it wasn't going anymore. And it was, I walked over to see it sitting in next to turn 5, and it just looked so sad. It's just a little cartoon car sitting there going, hi, I'm done.
Yeah.
Tried, though. Guys, you gave a valiant effort. It was fantastic.
We did, yeah. We did.
Visor down, visor up. 2 minutes to go. The waiting continues for the number 110. That is Gilbert Hakim, who came and had a word with me just before the race, and he said, I'm ready. Make sure you mention my GT350. Well, we didn't just mention it, we're all over it. Do you want a passenger? Now, Mike Biacchio, who Kev spoke to earlier before the race, leading at the moment with 12 minutes to go. Could we have an absolute wipeout? I wonder. Could we see Ford Mustang win here tonight? Well, that would be interesting. Frank Zucchi in second place, likewise in a 65 fastback Mustang. Starting to look good for the Americans, but things could change.
Look at that view. You can see the ocean. It's so great. You come up the back hill, and right as you turn into the corkscrew, you're looking down the track. You don't want to stare at anything else except for where you're going. But sometimes you sneak a peek at the ocean in the distance, and you just get this broad panorama. And then the car dives down the hill, and you keep going, and you're down into Rainy and gone. This place is so special.
It was funny. James Alder came in here, and he said, you know, they did a pedal box race, or, you know, a pedal car race at Goodwood. And I said we should do a soapbox derby, you know, build your own and go down the corkscrew.
That's actually how they get you back to the pits when you have an engine failure. They tow you up there and then release you, and you roll down into the exit road.
I've experienced that twice this weekend.
I'm so sorry, Foxy.
Here we go, he's getting a push. This drama indeed. The 110's in trouble. Will we get the former leader out there? Here we go.
Oh.
Well, he needs the ragtime races. Oh, he's going to get a run at it. Here we go. Oh.
I wonder if the starter died.
Maybe.
Oh, he's going to try and start it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a backwards bump start. Love it. Well, we're seeing it all today.
Well, he's parked up he's out in front of the driver's lounge, so the pit lane is slightly uphill
Oh,
there.
I see they're going to get him back. Right, I get what you
Try
said.
Try pushing a Mustang uphill.
No kidding.
That's when you want a Mini.
Right. Here we go. Heave ho, folks. Henry Ford would be proud, wouldn't he? Here we go. Tony Garcia. Put the camera down and help push it. Great camera coverage. You can't get any better than that. Great stuff. Well done, Tony. So 9 minutes to go, and at the front, it's Mustang.
I'll bring you back.
We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Frank Zucchi, though, is powering his way in second place to a possible overtake here. Kev's going to come back. Thank you, Andrew Fox, for the update and shout-outs.
That was great, wasn't it, listening to Andrew there, just talking about what he's been getting up to all day there, and he's literally covered in grease. And yeah, I mean, look at this. Before the race, that man, the 111, Mike Bacciocco there, he was starting at the back of the pack.
It's easy for you to say.
This late in the day, Mike, I apologise. But I tell you what, I have to say, he was sitting there. He's been waiting all day for this race. He was locked and loaded. He was a man zen in his thoughts. He was like, you know, he was there to do the business, and I could sense that with how he was sitting in the car. He wasn't coming here to make up the numbers. He had someone to show, someone to prove.
Well, it's starting to look like a muscle car fest at the moment, because I think that last safety car has put pay to any hope that the Minis would come back at him. But it's never over till it's over, Sam.
And also as well, Johnny, I must just jump in here as well and just give a shout out to car 35. It was Randy Unsby. That's the man who ran them as a team, 61, 62, 63. He's the guy that I spoke to earlier, had them on his T-shirt. So Randy, thank you for the heads up. And I apologise that I had that senior moment for getting your name momentarily earlier on.
2 wheels on the Mini almost there. I've forgotten the name of the guy who does this, but there's a guy who goes around the world displaying Minis and does tricks with them, gets them on 2 wheels.
Really?
Drives them in circles on 2 wheels, and yeah, it's total self-preservation society stuff.
Well, you're probably talking about my mate Paul Swift, who does his, the Italian job show. Well, I've commentated for Paul many, many times over the years, and he doesn't just put...
That's who I meant.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know Paul well. He's a good pal of mine. Fantastic rally car driver as well. Runs a Escort Mark II rally car, and he'll put any car on 2 wheels, and it is quite remarkable. And I've been there as the passenger, and I've been there in the middle of the arena as he's gone past me on 2 wheels. It's incredible. There's no trick photography. There's no trick anything. As long as you can lock the differential, he goes up a little wooden ramp and he'll do a lap of the arena on 2 wheels.
That's nothing. I could put any car on his roof.
I was going to say, when you say put any car on 2 wheels, that sounds like a threat.
Yeah. Honestly, it's quite remarkable, and he does it in the smallest space as well. You don't need a big run up. You don't need a big run up. Just goes up a wooden ramp, any production car, could be a Ford, could be a, Mini, could be a whatever, and he puts it up on 2 wheels, does a lap of the arena, and the crowd go wild. It's incredible.
He doesn't spill his tea.
He doesn't spill his tea. He doesn't spill his tea.
You think about the learning curve for that, right? Does it end up with a bunch of cars and a bunch of roofs while you're trying to learn how to do it? Like, how do you
getting it wrong?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he started out, we won't give him too much court time, but he started out, his dad is a stunt driver, Russ Swift, and he started out when he was about 9 or 10 years old on a little kind of mini tractor, and his dad bought him out as a little kind of thing, saying, here's my 9-year-old son, and he's going to race it down the straight here at Silverstone and put this little mini tractor on 2 wheels, and that's what he did. And now he's a chap, and he's probably early 40s like me, and well, I say like me, I'm late 40s, but and he's still doing it. Anyway, back to the action. Look at the 62 car.
Andrew Waite going through nicely.
Yeah.
Oh. That was Matt Johnson getting a little sideways.
Twitchy in the Mustang.
You can see how they went through too, right? So Minis can take a much tighter line. The Mustangs have to go a little later, let the car set, come back into the throttle. The Minis simply have so much more grip that they have to take advantage of it and take advantage of mid-corner speed and make it work.
And by the way, we're talking 10-inch wheels versus 15 or 16.
I was standing in Foxy's pit the other day, and there are these stacks of Hoosier tires, of little cosmic wheels, and our photographer walked over and he went, "Are these the wheels?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "Really?" And I went, "Yes." And he goes, "No, wait, where are the real ones?" And I go, "These are them."
These are they, yes.
And he's a tall guy. He's got long arms. He managed to pick up 3 of them at a time. He's carrying 3 wheels around the paddock. Because they're 10 inches.
They look incredibly tiny when you walk near anything else down that row of cars down there. Just quite incredible. And the cars themselves, they are obviously tiny. And when you sit in them, and you'll know this, Sam, I mean, I said to these guys, what's it like when you point it down the corkscrew? You must feel so small and vulnerable in that little thing on this big racetrack.
No, you huck it in, and it just, the whole thing, you think and the car turns. A Mustang, there's so much steering effort, and it's a great experience on its own, but you're in a big negotiation with the car. The Minis, you just kind of go, "I want to go over there," and the car goes, "Boop," and then it's over there. It's fantastic.
Well, the discussion we had yesterday was the Mini, you have to be, if you're racing it, you have to be more precise almost than you would be in a Mustang, because you've got so much grunt in the Mustang that if you make a mistake, you can almost power out of it, whereas with a Mini, you're almost being a little bit more precise, because you can't get it back once you've gone wide or whatever. There's no way of powering out of it. You're there for as long as it wants you to be there. Until you do what you're told.
Like I said, I had a chance to test one of Don Racine's cars, actually the 62 car that he's running here. And what I found amazing about it was that, when you put the car into a corner and you get it right, the car's like, "Hey man, everything's fine." And when you do it just a little bit wrong, you feel it for the next 2 corners, because you've lost that 2 or 5 miles an hour, and it doesn't come back easy. It just takes glacial ages to get back into it. It's so great.
That is exactly the same. You're saying the same things that Andrew Waite said to me earlier on this afternoon. This is great. I love listening to guys like yourself who race these things and know all about it, because you're so in tune with what's going on. He said, he said exactly the same thing. He said, you turn it into the corner, you start to get it wrong, the thing is going to let you know. And it's, it's just, and you just feel it. And you're like, "Nope, all right, I can't do that. Sorry, I'll try someone else."
Well, now we're going to battle for the Minis. Oh, wow. If he gets that under control, that's going to be one hell of an overtake. Wow, that was sensational. Such a run.
That's Dennis. Is that Dennis or Don Racine? Who's going second? I think Dennis Racine.
Dennis Racine. That was brilliant.
Look at how much of a gap he built going down through 80.
Yeah, he really did. I don't think he used. I think he just dropped it into
Watch this though. Watch Andrew Waite. He's going to have a look up the inside. That's the 62 car coming up on the 61. Puts it up the inside. Now he's going to try the long way round. Look at this.
Oh,
and he's done it. And he's done it.
Nicely done, then. So the Mini's putting on a show here. They may not win the race, but they're going to fight each other tooth and nail for the Mini win, as it were.
Laubert and Waite in that 62 car are now up to 6. After that yellow flag and safety car, they were down in about 9 and nowhere to be seen. They've got pride on the line. They want to put this up higher. This is great.
I love watching the cars go through 6, right? You just saw that Mustang. There's a dip in the middle, and you see the Mustangs take this. They visibly see their weight. This whoomp as they come down, and the Minis just go dip and then back up again. It's so obvious what's going on.
Look at this. Look at this.
Here's our leader creeping up. And past he goes.
It's like a bigger fish swallowing something much smaller as it goes by. You got no chance there, buddy.
Dancing with whales, as it was described earlier.
Oh, is that all we had?
Somebody,
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it.
A friend of mine once described driving a fast Mustang as a nuclear sofa, right? You have everything and nothing all at once.
Yes, I like that. That's a good description. 2 minutes to go then.
Here we go.
Our final race. Mini versus Mustang, a great way to end the weekend on what has been a truly spectacular weekend of racing. If you haven't enjoyed it, whatever part of racing you love, then you haven't got a pulse, because there's been so much to edify here and enjoy. It's been fun. It's been good. It's been good, good fun racing. It's been good, clean racing. We've had some moments, but all in all, most of the cars, I think, are going to be going home safe. And that checkered flag on the top of that car could well be used in about a minute or so.
Yeah, that's my man Randy Unsby, who I was talking about earlier. He's actually racing that 35 car. He's the man that used to own or run the team that's 61, 62, 63, out in the 35 car with the checker block roof.
Like it.
Wow. Here we go.
So
Right.
a minute to go, and it looks as though Mustang are headed for victory, but that makes sense because it is a 66 Mustang he's driving, and for those who know their history,
stand by though, look out for Lauber and Waite. They're going up from 6th. We're going to see him 5th with that move there, I think.
Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, in fact,
Actually, hang on a minute. That's 177.
Yeah.
Are our graphics slightly behind what's going on? I'm not sure.
I think they are. Well, we'll soon find out as they cross the strip.
Full credit to Andrew Waite if he has put himself right in the mix in the closing stages of this one, as we've got just 30 seconds left, Johnny.
Yeah, 30 seconds. As soon as that clock drops to 0, it'll be the lap they're on, or if they just start before they get across the strip, they'll get that one more lap at the 0 mark. So that should give us the white flag for the leader very soon.
Look at these two cars. They're having the time of their lives in the closing stage of this one. 62 and 177, and what a great camera shot with the lights on, blitzing it through the dust there in the early evening sunlight here at Laguna.
Here
Stand
we go
by.
on the braking. He hasn't done it this time, but he's close.
That must be so exhilarating, Sam. What he's going through. Well, your stomach is coming through your mouth is what's happening there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you come over the hill, you can't see anything, the track is nowhere, and then all of a sudden you bottom and go down. It's everything just appears before you, and then you have the big ballsy turn that's rainy. It's great. Final lap.
Final lap.
Final lap, and it is the
111.
Yep, of Mike Bacchiaccio leading the way here for the Mustangs. And like I said, it's appropriate that it is a 66 Mustang, because of course that's when Trans Am began some 56 years ago, and somewhat appropriate then that Mustangs here in 2022 would finish off a weekend of Velocity Invitational as the head of the pack in our All-American Festival of Speed. And absolutely, America celebrating not just the American car, but all that have come to America to race in this wonderful, fanatic place for racing, because there's no question, if I've learned one thing this weekend, is the respect, the love, and the passion that Americans have for all kinds of cars from all over the world. And I love that fact. It doesn't matter whether it's Japanese, British, Italian, and of course American. Last corner then, turn 12, Laguna Seca, Velocity Invitational. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's bring him home on 111. Mike Bacchiaccio, who's going to win here in the final race and does take the checkered flag. Well done.
Full credit to him, and I won't say there was any kind of like, I don't know, serendipity, or there was no planning on my part to chat to the winner before the race. It was just I happened to be stood there, and there he was, and I was like, "What's your name, sir?" In the 111 car.
I know, I do. I remember.
I know. And there he was, and he's the winner.
I love that. That's
I planned
brilliant.
it all. I planned it all.
Aha, now here comes the 62. Is he going to be second across the line? The way he's been pushing, I wouldn't be surprised. That's Andrew Waite, who led early on. And yes, he did get ahead of... Across the line he comes, takes the checkered flag, lights blazing on. And that's the 177 of Don Racine and Dennis Racine coming across the line. Dennis at the wheel.
Johnny, thank you for having me. I'm going to step out for a second.
Sam, so glad you came along.
It was a pleasure.
Keep in touch.
Oh, thank you.
Anytime, you're always welcome in the booth. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you so much.
Well done to Mike Boccaccio. Well, let me see if I can get his... I've murdered his name a couple of times. I'll see if I can get it right next time. But I don't think he'll care. He's the winner, all the same. Sun's come out on the hills of Monterey. The resplendent Taylor has joined us in blue suit and all. I don't know how you've managed not to get a peek.
I did. I was
mark.
brushing up on the tires a little bit. I went talked to almost every driver on that grid. But yes,
Have you had fun?
I have had so much fun. I can't even explain. As you guys probably mentioned before, this was my first Velocity. You guys obviously were here last year, but I cannot tell you, this smile has not left my face all day.
How about that ragtime races?
I was living for that suit. I was next year. We're switching. I'm in that suit. You bet.
Good luck trying to top that.
I say, I'll hand the baton on to this one, Johnny. How about you?
Well, she's rather brave, I'd say.
Rather.
What a scallywag. Think you should
I
take you
say.
on.
I honestly have to practice my verbiage before I get over there.
You've got to get your patho verbiage down before you do that.
Yes, indeed. But
Guys,
what a great...
we're gonna see the sun's going down. Let's sum up the day and sum up the weekend, really. Hats off to the organisers. They've done it again. And I know that Jeff and Ryan and everybody else don't like to sort of say, oh, it's Goodwood here in America. It's not. It's America's version of something very similar, but everybody's liking it to that.
Yeah.
And I hear Lord March was here this weekend.
He was he?
Not a bad compliment.
Wow, I didn't know that. That was kept under the radar, wasn't it?
Well, I like to keep some secrets.
Ah, Johnny, you are the man in the know, aren't you? How do you know this?
Well, I do know this.
Well, you do
But
know
come
this.
on, sum up your weekends.
Well, for me, Johnny, I'll leap in straight away. It's just the passion of the people that I've spoken to. I've learned an awful lot about a lot of different cars this weekend, where I was speaking to John Schomer about the Ferrari 250, the experimental one in blue that he spoke to about earlier. That was incredible talking to him. Lovely chatting to Wayne Rainey as well and his pal Gordy, who were going out in that 2.5-litre Datsun, the 510. That was incredible. And it just seems that it doesn't matter who you speak to about whatever car they're next to. It's the passion and it's the stories. And from my point of view, it's learning, because these guys, oh boy, they really know their stuff.
Oh, absolutely. He summed it up pretty good, but absolutely, the people here, I feel like we all get to be kids again. You know, these people have been in motorsport, and what I feel like I got from them is that it brings them back to that childhood. It reminds them of why they love motorsports, why they started in this, and just getting to experience that all over again and seeing all their cars, you know, they own multiple, or they race in multiple classes, and there's not another race where you can really do that. You've either got to dedicate yourself to whether it be IndyCar or something like that, but these guys, they have their hand in everything, which I love so much. So I can't sum it up. It was such a blast out there.
It has been a blast, and full credit to you, Taylor, because you've been down there on Velocity Lane, putting the microphone in the window next to cars that are revving their engines a volume that the people at home probably don't realize, because our microphones are incredible and it blocks out a lot of the surrounding noise. But I can tell you, when you're doing what you're doing up there on Velocity Lane, it's really tricky. So you did an awesome job on that. It's incredible. You asked the question, and I'm over the noise of the engine. You sometimes can't barely hear the answer. It's a trick in itself.
Yeah, I hope they were answering good. Yeah. They could have been saying things, and I was saying yes. Who knows? But the smell too. If you guys weren't here, you missed out on that, because I was down there, you know, probably drinking race fuel at this point, but taking it all in.
It's not just the sights and sounds, it's the smells, isn't it, Johnny?
Smell.
And you've been outside, so you've been experiencing all of it this year.
I've loved being out here. This is absolutely great. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for all your work this weekend. A great shout out to Greenlight, to Tony Garcia in the pit lane. Superb work working with Taylor. Taylor, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Our thanks to everybody involved, everybody, the marshals, the participants, everybody. We go and finish another beautiful evening here in Monterey. Stay safe, everyone. I'm glad you've joined us over the weekend. And I have to say, Jeff O'Neill's job was to bring 100 years of motorsport to you, and I think he's done that, and it's capped off by one of the greatest of all time being part of this event, Mario Andretti, racing a modern Formula One car. He got his dream, and we got ours. We'll see you next year.